Hello fans and friends across the universe, welcome to my YouTube channel From Me to You. My name's Keir Smith, and as the 8th of December rolled into the 9th, so the horrifying news came over from New York, USA to the UK that John Lennon had been senselessly murdered 41 years ago. So for today's video I wanted to remember John and talk about 10 interesting and cool points about the great man's life. We'll start with John's singing career, and that began as a choir boy. John sang in St. Peter's Church in Liverpool, and he was also a Boy Scout too. John was with the Allerton Boys Scout Troop. Alan Williams, an early manager for the Beatles, owned a coffee shop called the Jacaranda, and in it was an old coffin that John would frequently go to sleep in for a joke. And talking of John's humour, he wrote 2 books filled with poems and illustrations. 1964's In His Own Right, spelt W-R-I-T-E, and A Spaniard in the Works from 1965. The poem I'd like to read for you now is from 1964's In His Own Right and perfectly showcases John's zany humour. The poem is called Sad Michael. There was no reason for Michael to be sad that morning, the little wretch. Everyone liked him, the scab. He'd had a hard day's night that day, for Michael was a cocky watchtower. His wife Bernie, who was well controlled, had wrapped his Norman lunch, but he was still sad. It was strange for a man whom have everything and a wife to boot. At 4 o'clock, when his fire was burking brightly, a policeman had clubbed in to pass the time around. Good even, Michael, the policeman speak. But Michael did not answer, for he was Deb and Duff and could not speak. How's the wife, Michael? Spoke the policeman. Shut up about that. I thought you were Deb and Duff and could not speak, said the policeman. Now, what am I going to do with all my Deb and Duff books, said Michael, realising straight away that here was a problem to be reckoned with. And here's John's drawing of Sad Michael with the policeman. It's the way that John spells the words in the poem as well that make it as funny as it is, I think. And musically, John's creative mind and restless spirit and enormous talent led him to what I believe is the most forward-thinking and innovative body of work ever. Taking those years, 1964 through 1972, he was untouchable. If you think about songs like I'll Be Back, I'm a Loser, Help, Day Tripper, I'm Only Sleeping, Tomorrow Never Knows, Strawberry Fields Forever, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, All You Need Is Love, I Am the Walrus, Happiness is a Warm Gun, Revolution, Give Peace a Chance, I Want You, She's So Heavy, Working Class Hero, God, Imagine, Gimme Some Truth, Jealous Guy, Attic Estate and Angela. The growth and musical leaps that he took through those years are absolutely mind-blowing. John was the first Beatle to be married, he was the first to be divorced, he was the first to have a child, his son Julian, but he was the last Beatle to learn to drive, and he was widely regarded as a terrible driver, and he gave up driving soon after an incident in 1969. He was on a trip to Scotland with Yoko, her daughter Kyoko, his son Julian, and it was an accident that left John requiring 17 stitches, and he gave up driving and took to employing a chauffeur thereafter. John's song Give Peace a Chance quickly became an anthem for anti-Vietnam and counterculture movements, and on Vietnam Moratorium Day on the 15th of November 1969, 500,000 demonstrators stood in Washington DC singing Give Peace a Chance at the top of their voices. It's one of those spine-tingling moments, and a moment that made John very proud for sure. Make no doubt about it, John could change the world. During John's infamous Lost Weekend that lasted some 18 months between 1973 and 1975, he was an honorary member of a crazy drinking group in LA called the Hollywood Vampires. John Lennon, Ringo Starr, Keith Moon, Harry Nilsson, Alice Cooper, Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees would all get together at the Rainbow Bar and Grill and get absolutely wrecked. And there's a plaque that hangs in the Rainbow Bar and Grill to this day. It lists all of the members that I mentioned, and it says, the lair of the Hollywood Vampires. Ringo Starr said, We weren't musicians dabbling in drugs and alcohol, we were junkies dabbling in music. On the 24th of April 1976, Paul McCartney went to visit John Lennon at the Dakota in New York City, and John was up late watching Saturday Night, and the producer of that show, Lorne Michaels, on that particular show had this to say: "Hi, I'm Lorne Michaels, the producer of Saturday Night. Right now we're being seen by approximately 22 million. But please allow me, if I may, to address myself to four very special people: John, Paul, George and Ringo, the Beatles." And he went on to say, "The Beatles are the best thing that ever happened to music. It goes even deeper than that. You're not just a musical group, you're part of us. We grew up with you." And he then went on to make the Beatles a paltry offer to get the group together. He said, "The National Broadcasting Company has authorised me to authorise you a certified cheque for $3,000. And John later said in a 1980 interview, "Paul and I were together watching that show. He was visiting us at our place in the Dakota. We were watching it and almost went down to the studio just as a gag. We nearly got into a cab, but we were actually too tired. A crying shame. It would have been the greatest TV moment ever." And though sometimes as fans we bemoan John's 5-year hiatus from the music industry from 1975 through 1980, but it's worth remembering that he did so with love to raise his second son, Sean, and knowing that he barely saw Julian and wasn't much of a father to him during the Beatles years and beyond, it seemed that he was keen to get it right second time around. And on the other hand, we got one last creative songwriting splurge with songs like Just Like Starting Over, Watching the Wheels, Woman, Nobody Told Me, Grow Old With Me. And John's last creative act musically was actually on the night that he died. He was playing his 1964-1965 era Rickenbacker on Yoko's Walking on Thin Ice, a single that was released at the end of January 1981. And naturally I paid tribute by playing John's music yesterday and today. At first I went with Double Fantasy, and then I went back to Mind Games, and a couple of choice singles too. I went with Instant Karma and the aforementioned Walking on Thin Ice. So John Lennon, 41 years gone now, but never forgotten. How could he be? He's always had and continues to have that ability to reach me, us, with that wit, humour, that sensitivity, love and emotion. He revealed himself in the most heartfelt, open and honest way, good and bad. He was a complex character. But we love him for that, and if you couple all of that with the best music ever made, it's why he was able to not only get under our skin, but ingrain himself in our minds, hearts and souls. Thanks as always for watching. See you next time.